Hi Queens, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. Today is Wednesday. It is 6:57. I just walked in from work and I just wanted to check in with you guys like always. Today I want to talk about loss and grief because it's been playing in my mind after I had a conversation with someone who recently lost their grandmother, and she's having a really difficult time going home knowing that her grandmother is no longer there. And so I know that this is something that we've all experienced, some form of loss. And I can share, my story. When I was a teenager, I was in junior high school. My grandmother passed away. She had cancer. And I lived in the US and she was in Guatemala. And as a child, I was very close to her. She helped raise my brother and I until I was 6, and when I came to the U.S. And when my father, told us that she had been in the hospital and that they gave her, a few days, to live. He told us that he was heading out to Guatemala, and I wanted to go with him. And I said, Dad, please, take me with you. I want to go. I want to see, mi mama. We used to call her mama. And my dad was like, no, you have to stay in New York. You and your brother going to school. I can't have you miss school. And I cried and I begged him and I was like, please, take me with you. I want to see her. And he was like, no, I'll call you from over there. When he got there, the same evening that he got to Guatemala, she passed away. And I remember he called my mom in the middle of the night and he said to her, my mom just passed. And I just heard it through the phone. It was in the middle of the night and I just started crying. And I was like, oh my God, I gotta tell my brother. And my mom was like, no, do not wake up your brother. You can scare him. I don't want him to get scared. He's sleeping. Let him sleep. We'll tell him tomorrow morning. And I was just devastated. And I was crying and crying and crying. And it was like such a huge loss. I think I was like 12 or 13 at the time. And I just couldn't get over the loss. Because even though I didn't live with her, she meant so much to me. She took care of me as a child and she nurtured me as a child. And she made sure that, my brother and I had everything that we needed. And so losing her was a big loss as a preteen. Well, a couple of nights after, no, I don't want to say a couple of nights, maybe like about a month after she passed, I was in my room, and I'll never forget this. And I was sleeping, and don't ask me why, but sometimes I sleep like this with my hand like this. And I felt like somebody was going like this, like nudging my chin. And so I wake up. I looked around, nobody was there. So I turned over and I went back to sleep. And again, my hand started going like this to my chin. Like, hey, wake up, right? So I wake up again, I look around, and now I'm starting to get scared because I didn't know what was happening there. And it was like, I don't know, it was in the middle of the night. So everybody's sleeping in the apartment. And I wake up. I get up and I walk over to my parents' bedroom and they're like knocked out, snoring and everything. And my brother was like sleeping. And so I went back to bed. All of a sudden, and I know maybe some of you guys are not going to believe me, but this really happened. And comment down below if this has ever happened to you, if you ever heard of anything like this, because I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only one. So I go back to my bed and I pull the covers over my face because I didn't want to see, I didn't want to hear, I didn't want to feel anything. And all of a sudden, I feel like somebody's going like this, like caressing my legs over my quilt. And I just started, I tried to scream and nothing would come out, like no voice would come out. And I was calling for my mom and nothing came out of my mouth. Like I opened my mouth, but like I couldn't even scream. I was so terrified. But I know that I felt somebody caressing my legs. And I got up again. And I went and I wanted to wake up my mom so bad. And I'm like pacing back and forth in my room. And then at the time we lived in an apartment and my room was facing the front of the building. And there was a fire escape right outside my window. And so I went and I opened the window to get some fresh air. Because I was like, well, maybe, you know, I'm bugging out. I need some air or whatever, right? So I opened the window and I look outside. And on the sidewalk, there was this woman. And she was looking up at me. And she was looking up at the window. And she was all in white. She had long white hair. She was all in white. I tell you something. I don't know if that was an angel. I don't know if that was a ghost. And we can explore those topics and we can talk about that in another video. But I know that being was looking at me. Because she was like this. She was looking up at my window. And then I couldn't take it anymore. And then I crawled back into bed and I covered myself and I don't know how I fell asleep. That happened so long ago, but I just felt like, oh my God, I'm so scared. So then the next morning, I was telling my mom about it. I'm like, Mom, I'm not a liar, but I got to tell you something that happened to me last night. And I don't know if you're going to believe me, but it's not a lie. It really happened. So she was like, okay, so tell me what happened. So I told her the whole story from beginning to end. And she said, well, that was probably your grandmother coming to tell you that she's okay. And I was like, what? I was like, what? I don't think that was my grandmother, Mom. And she was like, it was probably your grandmother. She was like soothing your leg. She's telling you, it's okay. She knows that you're in pain. She knows that you are grieving, her loss. And she's telling you that she's okay. Don't worry about her. She's okay. Well, that passed. And then there was another time where I was grieving the loss of my marriage. Years later, right, in my late 20s. And I was coming out of work. At the time, I used to work downtown Manhattan. And I used to take the train home. And I remember I was in the midst of my separation or divorce or something. I think it was a separation. And I was in so much pain, emotional pain, that I just talking about it, like I would start crying. But the blessing that I had was that my family was there to listen to me, to lend an ear when I needed to, vent, or they were there to show me support and love when I needed to cry. But anyway, so one day I'm coming out of work and I'm walking down the steps to take the train. And I said bye to my friend because we had coffee that day. I remember after work we met up for coffee, and then I said bye to her, and I'm walking down the stairs, and this guy, as I'm swiping my Metro card, this guy comes up to me. He was like, hey, what's your name? So I turned around and he looked just like my ex-husband. I kid you not. So he looked just like my ex-husband. But I didn't know this man from anywhere, right? So I wasn't gonna give him my real name. So I said something like, I don't know, Maria or something, right? So he said, oh, hi, my name is, and then he said my ex-husband's name. Let me tell you something. All the hairs on my arms, I just got like goosebumps all over. And he was like, nice to meet you. And then he walks away. So then I was like so shaken up. So I'm like walking on the steps to take the train to the platform, to take the train. And my knees were like weak and everything. And because I just couldn't believe that this guy looked just like my ex-husband. And he had the same name. So I get home. And I'm like thinking about it and thinking, I'm like, this just happened to me. And so then I consulted with someone, and she said to me, well, I think that, you were, basically she said that I was seeing what I wanted to see. right? So I asked, I was like, you think I'm hallucinating? She said, no, Jessica, I think that your pain is so deep right now and it's so raw because you're in the moment of separation that I think that you thought that he looked like your ex-husband, or maybe you heard that his name was like your ex-husband's name. So then I was like, okay, great, now I'm delusional. So how do I handle this? And like I said in my other video, I started seeking therapy. Like I went to a therapist to talk it out, and it made a world of a difference. I got so much out of therapy that I think that I got back so much more time, and I was able to push through all that pain because I was able to speak to somebody, because I was able to seek help. And like I said, the blessing that I had also is that I've always been surrounded by my family and friends who, no matter what, they've always been there for me. And so, that's what helped me, through the grieving process. And as I was telling this young lady, today we were talking about her grandmother. She was telling me how important her grandmother, you know, was to her. Actually, she said that her grandmother really filled in her mom's shoes. She didn't grow up with her mom. And so I can't even fathom. I don't even want to imagine, not having my mom around. So, when she said that to me, like, it really touched my heart. And all I could do is just hold her hand and tell her that it was going to be okay. That one day she was going to be able to smile again. And I obviously I'm like, listen, whenever you need to talk, if you need to call me, even if it's, on the weekend, like, feel free, because we need support during these really hard times, these emotional times. And this is, when you're in the midst of a situation like this, and honestly, you really get to know who is there for you. You get to know who is genuine. You get to know you discover who is a real friend and who has your back, who is there to really support you. And unfortunately, there are people who don't have that support system, but it doesn't mean that you're alone. So you can always, first and foremost, seek God. He's always going to be there to comfort you. And there's no problem, and there's no loss, and there's no grief that is bigger than his love and his mercy. And so that's first and foremost, right? And this, obviously, these are my opinions. I don't want you to think that, oh, here goes Jessica telling us what to do and imposing her beliefs on us. No. Because if you are atheist, it's fine, but you can seek somewhere else. I mean, you can seek help somewhere else. There are therapists. There are counselors available. After this whole COVID situation, many states and even worldwide organizations have provided free counseling for people, because this wasn't an easy experience. So if you find yourself going through loss and grief, there is help. You're not alone. And we're here to support you. This channel was created for support, in support of women and for women. So if you want help and don't know where to start, you can DM me. My Instagram handle is on my description box of every video. And so you can DM me and I will do the research for you. You don't need to post anything in the comment section, because this is confidential. I would never blast anybody's business or just put your business out there. That's not cool. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to support, and if you need anything, you can definitely DM me. And with that, I like to finish the video with our question. for the day from 3,000 questions about me. You know how we do. And today's question is, what is your current state of mind? So my current state of mind right now, as of this moment, is my mind is at peace. You know, today was a really busy day. Wednesdays is usually my busiest day at work. You know, a lot of back-to-back meetings. You know, so it's really hectic. But for some reason, you know, as I was walking home, I just feel this sense of peace of mind. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it came from. I don't feel it all the time. But today, I feel a peace of mind. And I'm loving it. I'm loving every moment of it. You know, when you have those days that you don't really have anything to worry about, you know, you can sleep well, sit down, enjoy, you know, some time in front of the TV, or sit down and, you know, have a good talk with your family. You know, that's how I'm feeling right now. Just a lot of peace of mind. And I thank God for my peace of mind today. So thank you for joining me again today. I will see you tomorrow. If you like this video, if you want to see more, hit the like button. You can share and you can subscribe and tell your friends about them. So I will see you tomorrow, and have a good night.